Hi, everybody. We are so glad that you're here joining us today. I have Christopher, who is now on the Dream Team, here joining me. And we wanted to jump right into goals and, of course, resolutions. We are now January 16th. And I don't know if you know this, but a really fun fact, and my mentor Bob would always say that facts are facts, is that between January 15th and January 17th, that most people by this time have taken their New Year's resolutions, their goals, and they put them on the back burner. And so that's my question to you. Is that you? Have you put your New Year's resolutions and your goals on the back burner? I mean, we kind of get all excited around the new year, to move towards betterment, we'll just call it, move towards goals, move towards resolutions, greater levels of health, wealth, and happiness. And I noticed this myself, working for years at local yoga studios and gyms, that they would be packed, right? Everyone would be registered, it would be packed. And then, of course, by about the middle of January, it would go back to the way it was before, and it would really slow down. So Christopher and I wanted to jump on here, and we wanted to really get you thinking about your goals and your resolutions. And, do you want to be at the same place next year, probably spinning your wheels, most likely like a boat without a rudder. And that just means you're just going in circles and circles. And by the way, when you do that, it just reinforces all the negative in your life, and it reinforces all what we call paradigm, which is all the genetic and environmental programming that keeps you stuck where you're at. And the desire to just want to do better, the desire to want to be fit, the desire to want to be your healthiest self, the desire to want to be in healthy relationships or start that new business or write that best-selling book, those desires, they were planted there for a reason. And I believe that, our creator is always working to and through us, but cannot do the work for us. So it's really up to us. And Christopher and I thought that we would jump on here and just talk about goals and, get you invigorated, because, this is the time where most people have lost the inspiration and oftentimes have given up. And so you're going to want to really listen up. And I know, Christopher, maybe you can share a little bit about your experience. You came into this mentorship with me, Diamond Mind Consulting, this legacy, Bob Proctor, into the Thinking into Results material. And I know that you had some of your own challenges at that time, and maybe this would be just a great space to share, where were you at that time, and what inspired you to take action, because that is what ignites the law of attraction. You got to take action, right, in order to attract everything that you desire. But what is that? What did that look like for you at that time?
So, what I absolutely love is bringing up the goals. So, at first, when we first started talking, that was connecting with the book that we wrote with Marie, the Global Conscious Entrepreneur book, and which was phenomenal. And when we started
Hey, do you have a
talking,
copy there? I don't
I
have a
have a
copy.
copy, yeah, but it's on the other side of the room right
Oh, okay.
now. Yeah,
Okay.
but
We'll put the link in the copy for you all.
yeah, and it's a beautiful book. It absolutely is. But that was one of the areas where my life started to shift further. Now, before that, I was I have a successful business. I connect and whatnot, helping people all around the world as a psychic medium, and things were going great. But things started becoming very normal, very kind of boring in a way, where it was like the same thing, different day. And I was getting a little stuck in a box. So then when we started connecting, and I knew about Bob here and there from things that I have read or seen and whatnot, but I never fully tapped into the material until I started talking to you about it. And when I jumped into this material and getting into lesson one, it just automatically smacked me in the face, where I was like, that's what I'm doing wrong. And it was the fact that when you create goals, we have our A, B, and C goals like Bob talks about. And how, it's either your goal, you think you know your goal, how to do your goal, or it's something that thrills you and scares you. And you should go after something that thrills you and scares you. Well, that's why my life was getting so boring, because it was the same thing, different day. I mean, I was still having success, but I wasn't, you know, bringing in more money. I wasn't bringing in more joy and happiness. I was just feeling really in a loop. And when you go after something that thrills you and scares you, it makes you excited about your day. It makes you want to do it. It makes you want to go every day and reach those goals. So it was just very inspiring to do that. And then once we tapped into getting further into the lessons and we learned about paradigms, and I never knew what a paradigm was. That's why this material is so strong, because it taps into things that you don't expect or don't even know. And when I started tapping into those paradigms, that is where it was funny, because it was near the time of December when we were doing this, and I had the opportunity to go to LA. I was going to LA for that red carpet premiere and hang out with Marie Diamond and all of that stuff. And those paradigms, those sneaky little buggers, they'll come right up and they'll like try to snatch you away from that, saying, no, 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 you can't do that. You have to stay comfortable. Well, instead of staying comfortable, I jumped right out, and it was my first time flying on a plane, 8 hours. It was, I was there in a new area that I wasn't expecting. Like, I've never been there before. The traffic is crazy. I've never had to deal with anything like that. And I broke through, and it continues to change my life because I work on these things.
Yeah, I remember that, Christopher. And I remember, I think, yeah, because it was your first time on a plane and you just, you jumped. You just took action and you did it. And I know at that point you'd already been in this material and diving in deep. And like you say, like this is why I think most people's goals, like they fizzle for sure, is because you got to have something, first of all, that you really, really want. And as you know, it's the feeling, because as we dive into the subconscious mind, the language for the subconscious mind is the feeling. And that's also where the paradigm is. So, you got to emotionally be connected to your goal, and you got to have that definiteness of desire, right? It's like there's no turning back. There is no like plan B. It's like the story I love to read out of Think and Grow Rich from Desire about the great warrior, right? It's like you got to burn the boats. And, we always say too, when you're moving after a really big goal, it has to excite and scare you at the same time. I mean, you got to be willing to do those things that normally you wouldn't do, such as like getting out of bed earlier, or, getting to your lesson, starting to take action. If it's writing that best-selling book or whatever it is, you got to be, willing to do what it's going to take. And unfortunately, this is where, as far as the mass consciousness, as most of us have been programmed to stay stuck in comfort and complacency. And, as you come into that lesson, Bob always says there's only two questions you need to ask yourself. Well, am I able? And we know that's a resounding yes. I mean, you're God's highest form of creation, your spirit, you have infinite potential within you. You can really, truly do, be, and have anything you desire, or something even better, which is quite exciting. And the next question is, am I willing? And am I willing to do what it's going to take to reach this goal? And so we know as we get further along into the thinking into results material, we start to look at what are higher mental faculties. But in lesson one, this is where already Bob is igniting everyone through the imagination and through the will, right? You got to spend time dreaming, because I think most people don't even know what it is that they really want. And they're kind of going after something that they think they should do. Maybe it was planted there as a child, or maybe it's something their partner wants or their kids want. And I think that is one of the biggest things in lesson one, is really just diving into goals, learning about them, understanding how strong the paradigm is. And it's going to inevitably continue to try to take you sideways, and it will show up in the people around you. And that's what we do. We surround ourselves with the people around us. So it's, I think it's the community of coming together with other like-minded, and I know it is. And that's, really what the mentorship is. I know you've reached all sorts of really big goals, Christopher. If there is somebody that who is listening to this call and they, they're resonating with what, you're sharing and I'm sharing, and they're just really feeling stuck and they're finding themselves, you know, not taking that leap and just kind of like, again, at the same place that they were last year, what is some suggestions or some steps that you would suggest that they take as they move forward?
Uh, I would talk about, first of all, to make sure you're working on yourself internally, because we all know that the internal world affects the external world. So whatever we think, feel, and speak about, we then create that. We want to make sure we're feeling good about our lives to bring in that good energy and understand that we are capable of creating, as we are the co-creators. And the thing is too, is that this program and whatnot is not only about money and success and career. It's all about everything else around you, relationships with friends and family. You start to see things differently within that, working together within things. One of the biggest accomplishments that I have been through process with, especially through this program, is my children. I adopted three beautiful children, and with that, it came with 5 years of trauma. And with that trauma, you and I've talked about things before about, showing your kids. Don't tell your kids, show them what to do. Be that leader. And you learn to be that leader throughout this material. And as I learn more and more about this material, and I still study it to this day, that's the thing too, is I will listen to every single lesson every day throughout the day when I have gaps. I am completely addicted. It's an addiction for me. But uh, it has helped improve my children as well, because as they see my life changing for me, being the leader that I want to be, I tell them all the time, you're in control of you. Bob says, you are your own problem and you are your own solution. What would be the solution to these situations in your life that you need to do, that you should create, that you can create better for yourself? And I think that, I've done a lot of goals. I've hit a lot of goals. I'm happy about that. And I have new goals each and every single year, and different small ones throughout days. But the biggest accomplishment would have to be my family, my children, because they've grown so much into it. And what I love too is that my son, every night, he's like, can we listen to Bob? Can we listen to Bob? And getting it into them at such a young age too helps them transform. It helps them see things differently, because children are very sensitive. From the ages from 0 to 5, your brains are becoming developed and molded. And what Bob talks about with these paradigms is that when you are young, this is where you start to soak a lot of that in, from what you see, that what you feel, what you hear. And when you start to feel that positive energy as a child, it creates more of a leader out of you, because you're growing in that sense of direction, understanding that you can achieve what you want, your goals, your desires, and true happiness, as long as you create that energy to do so and you work towards those goals. And that's why and so do my girls. My girls love listening to him too, as well. But whenever my son's in bed, he's like, can I just listen to Bob? And I'll put it on while he's laying there, and it's the best thing ever. But I want them to achieve everything. And, they're soaking that in. I'm still soaking it in. I'm still learning each and every day. When we hear this in repetition, you hear new things each time you listen to it. And then you go, oh, wow. And it kind of just inspires you to furthermore give you that direction on how to reach those goals. So definitely repetition is key. Understanding yourself in a new way, that you have to create the life you want by kind of, I I want to say, fake it till you make it. Like, if you want that happiness, you can create that happiness, but you have to start somewhere where you have to feel that vibration. You have to feel that happiness vibration to allow yourself to heighten. And everything else just falls right into place. As long as you're taking action, feeling good, and going towards those goals, things will start to appear.
Yeah, and you highlight something that is really important, that Bob left in his legacy was that, most people are just gathering information. And I know for me that was huge. I had so much training, so many different mentorships. But That's the only way that we change those paradigms. And I mean, they're nasty. We refer to them as the devil, right? The genetic environmental programming. And what a gift to your kids to start at such a small age, especially when they've already been affected by trauma, right? And I just think that's absolutely amazing because it is a repetition of a good idea. I mean, we literally have to take the idea from the conscious mind, and we get further into this in the lessons, but we've got to take it from the conscious mind, which really, truly, we all have the ability to think. We have the ability to dream. We can accept, we can reject or originate a new idea through the conscious part of our mind. We can think, and thoughts are things, right? And we know that we got to take it, like that's got to go through the gatekeeper. It's the repetition and injecting emotion, energy in motion, emotion. It's got to feel real good. Unfortunately, most people are injecting a lot of the negative and what they don't want, which just keeps, feeding those paradigms, right? That's victim consciousness, that's lack consciousness, that's poverty consciousness. I mean, that's no way to live, and we're not meant to live that way. So I think there is that place of when we're not satisfied and we're not happy, which we should always be not satisfied. We should be grateful for our life. We should be grateful for our results. But it's that place of dissatisfaction where, and I'm sure those that are listening, it's like, you can do better. There's just that, feeling like there's something missing. You don't feel your best self. You can do better. There is maybe, different nudges. I call them nudges being planted where it's like, oh, I'd love to do this. Well, that's being planted for a reason. But the only way you get it from the conscious into the subconscious is the daily repetition with emotion. And this is how we literally start to shift the paradigm, because our current results are just a reflection of what's going on in the subconscious mind and how we've been programmed. So I love it even in lesson one. And that's what I, myself and the team want to do, is invite everybody into a 2-week complimentary mentorship in lesson one with us this New Year's. We're going to start next Saturday, and we want to inspire you to apply. And because it is complimentary, there's an application. If you're not a serious student and you're not, willing to put some skin in the game, then it's your paradigm so strong, it's just going to take you sideways. So that is one thing. If you are interested in learning more about this, it's going to be 2 weeks in lesson one, Bob's flagship material, Thinking into Results. You've got to send in an application. I'll put the details in the copy, but you're going to send it to Tara at diamondmindconsulting.ca, or just respond to this message for more information or how you can apply. But we want to learn a little bit about you, and what are some of your goals? What were some of your New Year's resolutions? If you could change something in your life, what would that be? We want to hear from you. We are currently going through those applications, so there is time to join us. And but it's such a game changer when you recognize that, well, it's changing that subconscious. It's really, that's where the paradigms are, but we've got to, through repetition and emotion, we've got to impress what it is we desire, right? And there's no person that I know that is better to learn from than the late, great Bob Proctor. And many people knew Bob from The Secret, but Bob really understood this material, and he really understood how to move towards those greater levels of success, because he was at the same place. He really felt like a boat without a rudder and experienced all sorts of failure for many, many years. And, started to really marinate and understand these ideas. And Bob would always say this, going back to your kids, Christopher, Bob would always say that this should have been taught in school. But it's not. It's just, again, there's another program happening at school. And unfortunately, that program for most people has shut off their imagination. Bob would always say most people shut off their imagination in grade one. Sit up straight, stop dreaming, pay attention. So as you come into this mentorship, we want to ignite your imagination. We want to get you dreaming. What is it that you desire more than anything else? And like Christopher is saying, it is that repetition. It's a daily practice. I know for me, I've been here studying Bob's material and teaching and mentoring it for over 8 years. And that's something I ask myself every day. You know, what do I really, really, really want? Continuing to move towards what we would call as the betterment. And when you understand your mind and you start to harmonize your mind with universal laws, the laws work towards the betterment. And that's when you're going to feel and look your best self. That's when, because we're all magnets, you will attract the people, the situations into your life that are going to move you in that direction. Christopher, do you have anything to share about the mentorship, or any advice you give maybe that younger version of yourself? And I know for you, you didn't even come into a 2-week free mentorship. You came in, and this is something we've only offered a few times. So when you came in, you were just like, yeah, let's do this. But do you have anything that you'd want to share with our audience, or to, again, that younger version of you that maybe, at that time, because of course there was an investment of time, energy, and money, but that you'd want to say?
The thing is too is that I want people to understand that this material is actually easy to learn. I mean, obviously we're learning a lot, but some people have that fear where they're like, well, I can't do school. I can't get into things. Maybe I won't understand it. Maybe I won't get it. But Bob makes it very simple for us to understand, and how he explains and expresses things. He makes it very simple to take the steps by steps. And what I love about Bob is throughout this course and different ones that he does, he always says, if you just do what I tell you and listen, then you're gonna get better results from it, because he's studied this stuff himself for years. I mean, years of his work. And that's what I try my best to do whenever I'm sitting there and he goes, okay, get into your goals now, let's write these out. I'm going to sit down and do my goals and write them out, and that's where things start to happen, because you then start to take action. And when you start to take action, the energy starts to ripple and you start to do a lot better. So I want people to know that there's no difficulty with this program. And when you take action and say, I'm ready to change my life, I want to change my life, I have to jump into it, you're fighting against that paradigm. You're going to step out of your comfort zone, and that's where true things start to happen. And that's literally what started with my life. When we got into this program, when I jumped into this program with you, when we first started and got into lesson 1, and I realized I wasn't making technically the right goal. I wasn't being challenged. I wasn't being thrilled or scared. Well, I wasn't getting anywhere. That's why I felt like I was in the same loop. And that's where the New Year's resolutions come in too. People talk about, they want to lose weight for the new year. Well, if you've already lost weight before, it's not thrilling you and scaring you. That will come, but find a different way around it. Something that will make you more thrilled and scared. And, it's very obvious that this material works. People don't see it fully sometimes, but where I have been in my life beforehand and in what I see now, it's changed everything. And I'm proud of who I've become, and more success is on the way. It always is. But it all depends on how you feel and how you adapt to it. But take action. And it's really understanding. You just have to understand the material.
Yeah, and I think too, there's so many other things that are just bonuses. Like I think of some of your big goals, and of course you've been working with me for a while. That's where the finances do start flowing, and that's where more clients start to come in. And it's Neville Goddard talks about the bridge of incident. It's just taking action, and oftentimes your goal is delivered to you through, I mean, it feels like magic or a miracle, and you should expect miracles. But it's when you start to harmonize yourself with those laws and you're moving towards something you really, really want. And you touched on something that's really important, is that, first of all, Bob created the material because he knew that we overcomplicate everything. So it'd have to be so that a 10-year-old could even understand it. So I just love the fact that you're bringing this up, because I'm sure, and I never thought about that the way that you're sharing it, Christopher. But I think with so many different programs and trainings, and there is a lot that's out there, it can be, kind of daunting to go, oh my gosh, it's going to be a big thing, 2 weeks diving in. But it's the repetition and it's the way that the material is delivered to you. So when you come in, you're going to get absolutely for free the first lesson out of the 12 lessons of Bob's legacy material. And I want to remind everybody here that it's the start that stops most people. And so you just got to take action. And the best time to take action is always in the now. And so we just want to encourage you to just take action. I mean, I don't personally want to see anybody at the same place that they were, the following year. And unfortunately, this is a statistic. I mean, even at this time of year, most people are taking their resolutions and goals, putting them on the back burner, which means they've given up and gone back into comfort and complacency. So that would be my question to you. Like, where do you want to be next year? And, your new year can really start at any time. There's huge paradigms around the new year because of this pattern. And that's all a paradigm is a paradigm's just a multitude of habits. It's a program. It's a pattern. It's also your conditioning. Christopher's talking about his kiddos and, the trauma they experienced. We've all been conditioned. We've all have experienced trauma to a certain level or hurts. We all have a story, right? There's, of course, habits and behaviors and addictions. And this is also where our self-image is. So if you want to get better results, you got to start studying yourself. And you've got to learn to really know who you are and love yourself. I love how Bob would always say that, right? You got to be able to wake up and look in the mirror and just kiss yourself and be like, man, I love you. And you're moving towards something really big. So this is what action I am going to encourage everybody that's here listening is to apply today. You do have until next Saturday, but we're taking applications right now and going through them. And there is limited space and only serious students apply. So this is what I would suggest that you do, even right after you listen to this, is just apply and we will consider your application. And the team and myself would love to see you start to take some action towards, again, the betterment and towards the better version of you, which is there. And all your goals are there. They're just waiting for you to become vibrationally the match. So once you understand certain principles around the mind and universal laws, it really truly it does become a game changer, but you've got to get the understanding and knowledge. Otherwise you stay stuck year after year in ignorance. And then you're just a plaything for what's going on the outside. So this is my suggestion to you. And, how is your life going to look? Christopher, if, the person that's listening to this takes action, maybe even they share it with some of their friends and they bring in some accountability partners, because accountability is definitely the glue to commitment. But what is their life going to look like if they take action?
I highly believe that it's just going to unfold in magical ways. They're going to go into an uprise of vibration. They're going to start living more freely, happily. I've seen that within my own life. Like I said, I was stuck in place. I wanted more, but I was just like, this is my life now. I'm going to wake up and do readings every day, and um, when you start taking action in that moment to say, I'm committed to start changing something, then you start rolling into the brand new you. And then if once you learn truly how to work with yourself, and these are those paradigms, those, working with yourself in those paradigms, you start to see how to come about in a proper way for you. This material isn't about just, everybody. Once you get into it, you start learning you. It's truly you. It's all about you and the change that you can make to make your life better. And then, of course, that ripples in for you becoming a leader. You show your children, you show your family. And what I love about this material too, just real quick, is that I'm trying, I want my mother to get into it, but she starts, it comes off of me onto her. She's starting to see the changes that I've created. And she's starting to say, well, that looks like a good idea. I want to go to that high vibration. I want to feel good about my life. I want to do these things. And that's where the accountability comes in, where those people come along and say, hey, let's do this together. Let's create a better world. And that's what I would have to say, is that it just changes everything.
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, it's leadership, right? This is a leadership development program, but truly, I don't even like saying the word program. It's truly a way of living. It's a way of living from the inside out versus the way that, all of us have been programmed, which is to live from the outside in. We're programmed to live from the circumstances. We're programmed to live from, the upset and the debt and, the excess weight. And, that's no way to live. So we truly want to start living from that inside out. And it's a game changer. Everything in your life. I mean, I've experienced this, you've experienced this, and then that's the leadership. And it's real leadership when you're living from the inside out, is you have the ability to lead others through your example. And what a gift to your children. I know I've experienced the same. So thank you for being here, everybody. Please share your thoughts. If you want to learn more, leave a message here. I will also put in the copy, how you can apply. And we look forward to seeing you next Saturday. So not this Saturday are we starting, but it's next. So yeah, let's do this. And thanks for being here, Christopher, and for sharing a little bit about your story. And if you want to learn more about Christopher and tap into his incredible superpowers, because he's an incredible psychic. I've personally, been read by Christopher and as well as recommended him many times. Reach out. As well as Christopher has a lot of superpowers, of course, in supporting in this mentorship as well as feng shui. So yeah, I'm just so honored and grateful to just work with such incredible leaders. And maybe that next leader is going to be you. So have a great day, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully in the mentorship.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.